I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about my journey to sustainable health and meaningful success. If you are coming back and you've already subscribed, welcome back. Y'all are my people and I love you so much. And if you're new, I hope you will consider subscribing by the end of this video. Before I jump into week 2 of Whole30, talking about how it went, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed and who has been commenting on my videos. You guys have been like blowing up my phone with encouragement, and just I feel that connection, and it just sounds so weird and ingenuine when it's just like, you guys are, the realist, but actually y'all are the realist. And a lot of you have been with me since like the beginning of my health journey, and like when I couldn't even talk about the deepest things that were like really bothering me, but I was just trying to spit it out there so that at least people could start learning from my mistakes. And just the amount of growth that I notice in myself, and then manifesting also the growth in my channel, it just proves that like I am not alone in this, and it feels so good to know that I'm not alone in everything that I'm talking about. I always seem to find a friend here that just really gets what I'm trying to say. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously, thank you. So week 2, we're week 2 was cool. It was fine. I didn't change anything with how I was eating. I just kind of stuck with what I had going for me because I'm like, all right, that meal plan seemed good. With the egg cups, instead of adding turkey to my egg cups, this time I added jalapeno slices. So I did cut a little bit of protein from my breakfast, but it's been good and I haven't been feeling really any different. So, but in terms of like calorie counting and stuff like that, I was just thinking like, I know that these healthy fats are supposed to like make you feel full, but maybe I'm adding too much because I just feel so satiated all the time, and I never really feel like I'm craving anything or lacking anything. And so then I was talking to my mom and I'm like, maybe I'm eating too many olives. Like, like what if I'm eating, like adding too much olives to what I'm having? So then she went to her kitchen cabinet and she pulled out a can of olives and she read the pack and she's like, in order to have if you were to have an entire can of olives, it's only 220 calories. So I was worried about nothing, basically. And I'm like, all right, I just need to trust the process and stop freaking out and let go of my expectations for weight loss and for any other thing that I could potentially expect. In fact, the day-by-day journal, that thing is actually, I'm telling you, if you want to do Whole30, I just really encourage you to get this book right here, because every single morning as I'm eating breakfast or after I eat breakfast, I'm like reading this little pep talk at the beginning of the day, and it seems to be pretty spot on. The funny thing that I noticed was this week was like a highly hormonal week, if you know what I mean. So normally like the day-by-day book like projects that you will at least feel for at least one day kill all the things kind of moment where you just are very mood swingy. And for me, I'm not normally, I wouldn't actually say that I have a lot of mood swings, even when my hormones are doing weird things. I'm not a typically like really aggressive person. But yeah, this weekend, I had a 3-day weekend. I was alone in my apartment in quarantine, and I just watched a bunch of movies. Like, I did a lot of stuff. I was so productive, but I watched Disney's Ice Princess, and I cried way too hard. Like, and I'm like that freak who watches movies by herself and talks to herself through the movie. And I'm like, why are you crying? It's not that big of a deal. like shouting at the TV. So I didn't have a kill all the things. I didn't have a KATT. I had a CATT, which was like cry all the tears. But something that I really wanted to highlight because I'm just so over the moon about this is talking about my relationship with food. My relationship with food started probably when I was a baby, actually. Looking back on our family videos from when we were little, I was always eating food. I was always eating a banana or a little bag of chips, walking around with my chips, and just like that was, it's like, I don't think I had a comfort blanket or a comfort anything. Food was probably my comfort. It could have just been the fact that I had so many health problems and like I just, I was a child who needed comforting a lot. So I was just talking to my mom the other day and she's like, well, I mean, that may have been my way of comforting you. I don't know. I know my parents never did the whole like dessert as a reward, or like they never used food as a punishment or a reward, which I think is just so wise in general. But you know, it may have been a comfort thing for me. And then as I aged, into like the years where I was actually dieting, like I started dieting when I was 9, and you can hear more about that on my video, the skinny on being fat. I'll link that down below. But basically, it's like I had different health issues. I used to pass out for no apparent reason, and they thought it was related to my blood sugar. So like for the longest time, and even to this day, like when I make those egg cups, I don't whisk 12 eggs and try to pour them equally into the muffin tin. I whisk each egg individually so I know that each cup has exactly one egg. And I've been compulsive with food like that for a while, actually. And like even on one of my Patreon posts, I specified that like when I would go to this particular restaurant, I always had to have a green straw. There were multiple color straws in the little straw cup. I had to have a green straw because it matched the color of my smoothie, and I always got the same smoothie. I always got the same order every single day. So there's just been a lot of compulsion surrounding my food habits, and this is all the stuff that I've been just reflecting on within the past like week of what is actually my relationship with food and how has it changed. I also realized that I developed rules for myself as the fat girl because, you know, I was always heavier than all of my friends. I can't remember a time when I wasn't the fat girl of my friends. The first rule is to never enjoy food too much. I never specified my favorite food. Like if something is really delicious or really rare or it's a special occasion, never, ever, ever talk about food as though it is just divine or that it's like absolutely to die for. Like don't rave about it because it makes you look even more like the fat girl. I think those stereotypes probably come from media, but that was something that it was just like, nope, you don't have a favorite food. Food, you are supposed to pretend like you are indifferent to food just because of your weight. Number 2 is don't ever be messy in public. I never wanted to be perceived as that like frumpy, gross, whatever caricature that media often makes fat girls out to be. Rule number 3 is to always be prepared. If you're going to go somewhere and because you don't plan on eating in public, you have to eat before. And then if you eat in public, like eat only a little bit or eat only enough to tide you over until you can get back home and then you can eat afterward. Rule number 4 is to take cues from my friends so that I can eat according to how much they're eating. But rule number 5 is screw rule number 4. You don't have to worry about how much other people are eating because you're the fat friend. You're allowed to eat as much as you want because that's what people expect of you. And rule number 6 was you are what you eat. That age-old saying of you are what you eat actually translated, maybe even subconsciously, into the way that I thought about myself. If food was fast, cheap, and convenient, or easy, that was me. It's like, oh, this food is convenient, which means I'm not worth the time or the effort to actually put into, like, doing well for myself. Oh, this food is, like, really artificial. It's fake and it's empty calories. I must be artificial, fake, and empty. And that, it might seem like too deep of a connection, but for me, that's how it was. And food and my weight and my whole internal dialogue seems to have been surrounding that for a really long time. And that brings me to the largest non-scale victory that I could have ever expected, and I didn't expect at all from this. And we've only just completed week 2, and that is I had a huge breakthrough. And I normally wouldn't read a Patreon post on my YouTube channel, because if you wanted to check out my Patreon, you can. But I wrote this reflection and I realized that this is such a huge non-scale victory from Whole30 that I have to share it with you guys. So this is drip, drip, drip part 3. Part 3 was just such a huge victory to be able to write. So here goes nothing. Drip, drip, drip. Alone I sit, listening to the pitter-patter of the rain on the roof of my apartment as I mindfully eat my bowl of chicken and vegetables. The world is at war against an invisible enemy, quarantined in their homes to avoid spreading sickness. I am not ignorant of my youth, relative health, and economic privilege that would ease my mind regarding the threat of COVID-19. Yet, I have also witnessed the blurred lines between awareness, mindfulness, caution, and fear. To be aware, mindful, and cautious when interacting with others makes my little dwelling a retreat, and I truly feel safer at home. But to be overcome with fear would instantly turn my humble apartment and mental space into a prison, my own personal hell. I shall have none of that. I've gone down that road many times before. For years, I let depression, anxiety, loneliness, fear, and thoughts of self-harm overpower me, oppress me, silence me. I can't remember the last time I could stand the sound of my own thoughts. Having been working on my relationship with food, I look down at my bowl and ponder the age-old saying, you are what you eat. You are whole. You are healthy. You are enjoyable. That's right, enjoyable. I reflect on my being, my own natural flavors. I don't need to be processed beyond recognition with additives, preservatives, and a little extra sweetness to be palatable. My whole authentic self, my truest form, is in fact my healthiest state. I'm not toxic. I'm not destructive. I'm not fake. And for the first time in 7 years, I can stomach myself. I am whole. I am healthy. I am enjoyable. So alas, here I sit, not immersed in news or social media, not chasing entertainment, not numbed by Netflix or junk food. Ironic how I must purposefully remove things from my headspace in order to be more mindful. That was just really big. I know that when I first started Whole30, one of my biggest concerns was the idea of not eating with TV in the background, or not watching Netflix while eating, and actually being mindful of the food that I was eating. I was terrified of feeling depressed and alone, and I have been drowning my thoughts for a really long time. And sorry. It just has felt so good to feel completely guilt-free, shame-free of the food that I'm eating, and feel healthy and whole, and discover that good, actually healthy and whole food can be enjoyable. And I just discovered that I myself can be healthy and whole and enjoyable. So, wow, I swear. Anyway, so Whole30 is doing good things for me. And I'm doing good things for myself, so. If you want to check me out on Patreon, there is more realness there. It is called Sarah Girl Uncensored, so if I drop a word that might not be used on my channel, it's because it's uncensored. But generally, it's just the realness and being able to take my time and write out my genuine thoughts, and yeah, it's just a added flavor. So that was so much. And anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you on Monday. I am fueled with anti-MLM stuff. Thank you so much for commenting on those videos, because there's, even just from your comments, even from your stories, and you're relating to my story, it definitely brings up so many things that I absolutely need to share with the world. So thank you, because it all needs to come out. So anyway, I love you guys so much. This has been a really real film sesh. So okay, bye.